Uh, Good afternoon, TFWR. It actually worked out just now. I'm live. Can't believe it. Don't have to go through that rigmarole. It worked. Fantastic. I'm here with another Florida legendary coach, Bryan Wilkes. If you don't know, he's been involved in wrestling in the state of Florida since 1975. He's been a coach since 1987, and he started Palmetto Wrestling in 2005. His brother was the second four-time state finalist, and he's got a lot of good stories. So, how are you, Coach?
I'm doing good, Darren. Hey, thank you for doing. I've been actually. I've really enjoyed watching, especially the Spencer Lee thing. Like threw me for a loop. It's like 'cause I had just signed on to do this, and I saw Spencer Lee, and I'm like, dang, I'm in big trouble now.
Yeah. And meanwhile, he's like just chill. Like he was like if he
Oh,
was
I
playing.
know.
Yeah, and then you ask him questions, and I'm like, hey, so what do you? Uh, I can beat everybody. I mean, I just think that way. If I can't, I don't think that. Like, yeah, I'm just going to go undefeated today. It's like
Right.
my son asked him about wrestling now with the person who gave him his only loss in high school to Santa. He's like, it happened. As a matter of fact, after he beat me, I asked him to come to Iowa right there on the mat. I'm like, oh, he's like,
I was there the 2 years ago at the Cleveland NCAA's. Me and Coach Thomas, Hall of Famer Coach Thomas, we were sitting right down there on like the second row watching Spencer Lee and Santo. Them working out again and staring kind of each other. I was going like an hour beforehand when they would let us in just to watch them guys because it was just enjoyable to watch them guys working out.
yeah, I mean, insane. So obviously, we're hopefully we're coming on the tail end of this COVID thing, as far as not the tail end of it going away, but I think the tail end of having to kind of be stuck at home. So I think the doors are starting to creak open, and the gyms maybe we'll start to see the garage doors open up. Uh, what kind of setback has this done for you and your wrestlers?
It has, about now we're last year we didn't go to the Disney Duels, but we had planned on going to either the Disney Duels or Jazztown this year because I have so many young guys, and it has put a hamper on it. But what we've done is, we're lucky enough to have three mats. So what I did was we started divvying up mat sections and had parents come and pick up a mat section. And I know we got 14 mat sections, and so they're in living rooms,
Wow.
garages, bedrooms, and we're doing like little Zoom.
If you have parents that want to donate mats, or if you have families that need mats, you see what Connor Beebe's doing down there, right, with the mat for kids.
And yes, I did see that. And once I get everything that I get settled, I like to donate to things. So, that's something down the line.
He
Trying to get
never
the guys in
imagined. He
this
said,
area.
yeah, he never
Excuse
imagined. He
me.
started with. He said he never imagined that he'd have this many mats already. He said, I started. My goal was to get 10 families a mat, and then I was like, well, that happened. 20 families. Well, that happened. Now he's up to 40 or 50. I don't know. BB, if you're out there listening, how many more mats do you need? But yeah, it's been awesome. So
I think that's one of them things you can't have enough.
yeah.
So we'll just keep donating and getting stuff for him.
Well, that's awesome, man. It's been a blessing. This community, like I always say, and you probably hear my innocence in my wrestling knowledge because I really don't have any. I'm learning here, um, but this is why I fell in love with this community 2 seasons ago when my son started to experience it, and here I am doing this, talking to everybody, and it's just been an absolute blessing to see everyone come together during this time. I mean, the live videos that the wrestling community are putting out there to just to get kids information and things to do at home, and um, just been awesome. So we were talking a little bit before this. You've seen Florida wrestling come from just about nothing to where it's at today, uh, and even beyond that, the girls, unbelievable, right?
Right. Well,
So
and it's My daughter actually wrestled for Southeast. I wasn't able to coach her because she was a freshman when I started Palmetto, and actually we had two matches where one of my guys had to wrestle my daughter. It
Oh,
was Danny Coulter was his name, and he had to wrestle her twice and beat her twice, and it
oh,
was
you didn't tip her off like, hey, watch the underhook, or hey, he
uh,
wants to go for the single
she was
leg.
just she kind of looks at wrestling this. I mean, I take it serious. But she was just wanted to be on the wrestling team. She'd been around wrestling her whole life. Uh, she watched one of our state champions at Southeast, Charlie Higdon. She admired him. I mean, he was a stud and worked hard, and she started just watching him as a little. I mean, she was 5 and 6 years old, and then when we got to high school, she goes, "Dad, I'm going out for the wrestling team." I go, "Okay."
Wow. So when you started this thing in '05, how many wrestlers did you have the first year?
It's funny. The school was quite old. It was actually one of the oldest high schools. It used to be called Lincoln High School in the 40s and 50s, and it was where all the black students went, and all the white students went to Manatee. And then it turned into, and then they broke broke down those limits, and Palmetto started in '56. So we didn't start till 2005. I was actually in another business. I had my own business or running a business at the time, and the athletic director was a good friend of mine. Goes, look, we want to start wrestling at Palmetto. You're at Southeast. We don't, we're not going to start a team if you don't go, because I wanted to coach at Southeast. So he kind of put me on the spot. So to make a long story short, which I've already not done,
Okay.
because I love this story. I mean, I'm so proud of it. The
Tell
very
it.
first we made announcements, and that Wednesday we walked. I remember the Wednesday we didn't have a mat yet. We didn't have anything but a room. We made announcements, and me and the athletic director come around the corner, scared to death, and there was about 47 kids in there wanting to wrestle.
Really?
Yes, it was wonderful. And the funny thing about that is, for the first 3 weeks, we didn't have a mat. So about every other day, I'd have to walk into the principal office. She'd call me, goes, Bryan, please tell me y'all weren't wrestling on the tennis courts. Bryan, please tell me you weren't wrestling in the retention pond. Bryan, please tell me you weren't wrestling on the gym floor. I mean, that was over, because we just wanted to teach them stuff. So
Oh,
it
I mean,
was
we used to play tackle football on the gym floor. So
yeah, yeah, and it's a I never, me and Coach Cochran, Travis Cochran was my first assistant coach and a long-time assistant coach. It was fun. I mean, the great thing about it is there's no pressure. So we took a couple of 84-0 beatings early, but we got that first year we actually finished second in our district to it was a 1A school. We lost to back then Clearwater Central Catholic used to have a strong team, St. Pete Catholic, who was Indian Rocks Christian. So we wrestled those teams.
wow. So did you expect 46 kids when you turned the
Oh,
corner?
you don't know how hard my heart was racing. It was no, I didn't. I was so excited. I mean, I think I went and
Yeah.
had 3 or 4 beers after that, which you really don't take for me to have
Not
a
with
beer.
the. So now we're looking at the tail end of your wrestling career, right? You're going to be on the search for a new head coach here to take over the reins.
Yeah, I'll sell my program. Yeah, I'm looking forward to moving up into the administration. So I'll always be a part of Palmetto Wrestling. And we have 3 solid wrestling tournaments that we host every year. Jesuit comes to them, Charlotte comes to them. I always enjoy Dixie Hollins come to our tournaments. And fundraising is not a problem. We have 3
How
matches
far are you? How far are you from St. Pete?
from St. Pete.
Yeah.
About 25 minutes via Skyway Bridge.
You need to drive. Connor Beebe, you hear that? They need a head coach.
Yeah. And the great thing is there's no paperwork, because I'm doing all the paperwork for whoever. That's why if we can get a new young coach, I mean, that's the biggest sell. If you can figure out how to do those weight programs, you're good.
How awesome would that be? You get him up there, huh?
Oh, I mean, and like I said, it's a great program, great kids. I mean, right now we got 10 sophomores.
Well, I know a great bar by him. You can feed him beer. My
You know,
my
you
aunt,
know.
my sister and brother-in-law have St. Pete Brewing Company down there
Oh,
on First
really?
Avenue. Yeah, I had
Well,
Jake Campbell on, and he's like, "I like the orange wheat." I'm like, "You've been there?" He said, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh,
I'm an
cool."
IPA guy. I'm an IPA guy. So,
You would love the brewer John. He's an IPA guy too, and he makes his first golden retriever's name was Milo.
okay.
So we named it the Milo's IPA, and it's really good. I tell everybody when we get out of this thing, and my wife unchains me from the house and allows me to be free again. I'm going to head down there to St. Pete, and I'm calling all you coaches up
Yeah,
to come have beer with me. We're going to
heck,
go live at the brewery drinking beer.
oh, I'm in. I'm in. And I mean, if you get a bunch of wrestling coaches drinking beer, there's always going to be a story happens.
Great stories, right?
Yep. And usually at the
That'll
end
be
of the night,
fun,
there's a
man.
new one.
There'll be a new one, right?
Yep.
Hey, so talk about your program. Talk about the kind of year you had. Talk about the success you had at the different state tournament levels, and then how you guys did at the up in Osceola.
Well, unfortunately, the last 2 years we haven't had a state qualifier. Very disappointing. Um, we've had some young teams, but that always falls on the coach. I mean, it's always the coach, and I blame myself, and I feel like I let the kids down. We've had some state placers in the past. We've had a good run. We've won some big matches. We've won some tournaments down the road, and we've won some competitive tournaments. I, I, I tease, that I truly believe a lot of people believe only Manatee is in our county. I have people like, "Oh yeah, I'm a Palmetto wrestling coach." You go, "Man, that Manatee team is good, aren't they?" I go, "Yes, they're good. Yes, they're good." And then always Google Meany's name comes up, Coach Goog. So it's like a uh, little salt in the wound. But we've every once in a while we've come, we beat them. So the first time was in 2010. So it's coaches like him that drive coaches like me. I mean, we had to either get better or we would have not. I mean, we had to get better.
You try
And
and get your kids up in that mafia club sometimes. Go up there and during the off season and
you know,
get in there.
no, it's a weird no, and I'm not sure why. I mean, we have an open mat every Wednesday that we invite people to, and every once in a while teams come and they wrestle. Some teams used to come more than others, and I wished I could explain. The one thing we do talk about here in Manatee County is trying to get the a more of a community thing, because if we get working as a community. Uh, the teams around us are going to get better. Uh, I try to tell some of the coaches, the younger coaches, that there's no secrets in wrestling. I mean, everyone does the same moves. You teach them the right way. Everyone does the same moves. So I'm not sure why that doesn't happen. I'm hoping it does. Like I said, I'm going to always be a part of. I've always been a part of Manatee County wrestling since 1974, except when I wrestled for the Marine Corps and when I was in college wrestling, uh, and then when I was in Crystal River coaching my brother. But I'm a Manatee guy. I mean, a Manatee. I shouldn't say Manatee. I'll say a Palmetto guy in Manatee County.
Talk a little bit about that experience. What was it like? So I don't know if you saw, I had Butch Hildenbrand on
Okay, yeah.
yesterday, and he was in the Marines, and he was going to wrestle for the Marines, but then he got kind of shipped off, and then when he came back, he wrestled with the Marines a little bit, but not like for the team. So, what was it like to wrestle actually for the Marines?
It was a great experience for me. I mean, I got to wrestle with some greats. Greg Gibson, who was an Olympian in both styles back in the '80s. Um, we wrestled. I mean, that's all we did. We just wrestled, and we traveled all over the United States and over in the European countries. Uh, I used to tease my wrestling partners. Some people will know him, some people won't. He's the jump rope king, Buddy Lee. Wrestled for Old Dominion. He was an NCAA All American for Old Dominion, Olympian. He made the '92 Olympics, I believe, maybe the '88 Olympics. No, it'd been '92. Buddy Lee, the jump roper, and when we wrestled, they used to call, you know what, people are going to ride me on this one, but they called me Mr. Bill. Back in the day, throwing dummies had Bill across the front of it. And then I was basically his throwing dummy. Like I would go to tournament. I mean, I would go to practice, not get a takedown for 5 days, and then go to tournaments, and we'd separate teams, and I'd go to tournament and win. It was just amazing. You'd get better by osmosis.
It had to be special to wear that. Wearing that Marine Corps logo must feel like wearing that USA logo. You know, when you're walking in anywhere in the world with that Marine Corps gear on, you got to feel like you're fighting for the country there too.
Right. And, you know, I'm very proud of being a Marine. I'm also proud of being a USA citizen. I mean, I'm proud of everything about that. And you're right. And when the all services tournament, if any wrestler ever tries to, the all services tournament, I'm not sure if they have it. They probably didn't have it this year. It's great. I mean, you got the Army, Air Force, Marines, Navy. Back when we were champions like 4 years in a row when I was on the team. But then I think Navy took over, and then I think the Army took over. It's spirited, fun, and you're right. It was proud to wear that uniform, that yellow and gold.
Yeah, it's well, my father was a Marine. My grandfather was a Marine, so I came from a Marine family, so I get it. That's pretty cool. I mean, some of the opportunities that you've been given through wrestling or have had through wrestling. What do you tell these young kids out there right now that have a dream? And is your nickname Twinkie?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's someone who's known me for a long time, because when I was in high school, I wrestled at Southeast High School, and that was my nickname. That's how my mom knows, and my daughter knows how long they've if they say Twinkie, they knew me in middle school, high school, or they're close to someone that knows me for that long.
Yeah, somebody just posted. We love Twinkie is an asset to our sport.
Oh, but yeah.
I don't know who it is because I can't find the live. Because let's see, I'm trying to find the name. Because on my live screen here on the Zoom system or whatever, be live, I can see the comments come over, but it just says Facebook user because I have the free version.
Right.
So I've got to pay that money to get them to change it from Facebook user to like Johnny.
And then make sure you get your logo on there then too.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, these young kids out there now that are coming up through the sport, the opportunities that they're going to have in our state that maybe weren't there for kids up until probably even early 2000s.
Right. My guys, I talk to my guys, we've had some guys. I have a wrestler right now wrestling in West Virginia, and I can't remember the name of it. It's a long name, but he's actually a senior this year, and I'm trying to get him to come back and talk to our guys. You know, I just say have fun. When the guys come, excuse me?
It's good calling you Twinkie.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
I'm sorry.
okay.
My ADD kicked again.
He's getting all my secrets.
Yeah.
But I tell my guys to have a good time. I want them to learn the basics, and just see what happens. There's no pressure. Another thing I'm proud of on our program is that, you know, while we have only a few guys in the wrestling college, we've had over 56 of Palmetto wrestlers join the services. So I'm proud of that fact too. And then a lot of them go in because
Yeah,
I
you
talk
see,
about the service.
and they're wrestling for the service, right?
No, no, they're just going in. One of my best wrestlers ever, Chase Washington, um, he's been in the Army for 8 years now. Well, no, about 6 years now. He could have been a state champion. He had a tough, sometimes some weight classes are tough as nails. He ended up finishing third that year. Um, but yeah, I just when we got these guys coming up, have fun. Don't push them. Now, like I said, these sophomores, now that they're juniors, they're wanting more. They have a little more. Now they want to get a little better. And those are the guys that have mats at their garages or bedrooms right now. And when we Zoom our workouts, I get them to work out, hit their moves, and just have fun.
So, I think can you see me?
Yep.
All right. I was trying to see something here on my computer because it was going south, but here we go. Something happened there. Sorry. Yeah, it's awesome because you hear a lot of these kids and you see what's going on and you talk to like the coaches that have been through the systems and they're like, man, the things you're getting now and the gyms that you're seeing and the clubs that you have access to are really, really amazing. And I think Connor Beebe, comment if you're watching because I saw you come on there. Say something. We got to get him on with. We got to get you on with Coach.
But yeah, it is amazing the way the wrestling has come up. Back in the day, there was, in the 80s and 90s, there was only a few clubs that wrestled. Ron Jones, who is a Hall of Famer, good friend of mine, great family friend of mine. He had a room called, it was basically the Still Building. And when I say still building, I mean still building. And he made some great wrestlers in that room. And those guys, I mean, they were beating state champions back then when they were sixth and seventh graders. But now you see it all. I mean, you see a stud right after stud. Sal
What is
from
your opinion on that? So, in the state of Florida, only the private school kids that are in middle school can compete in the high school level. Would you like to see all schools, public, private, and prep, be allowed to bring their middle schoolers?
If you're going to the school, because let's be honest, well, I'm not even going to go there.
We can feel what you're thinking.
Yeah, there's some, and you know what? I admire what Lake Highland Prep does. I take my guys to their Royal Rumble, every chance I get. The kids hate it, but they do. Once they're done, they love it. But there's some, not around here, but there's schools out there that, are doing some things that they probably shouldn't be doing. As far as would I like to have sixth, seventh, and eighth graders? Yes. I mean, you're going to make them better because it takes a phenomenal athlete and driven person now that's never wrestled in high school to come in. I mean, never wrestled to come in as a freshman and work their way up to a state champion. And like I said, anyone who does that, they've been given the tools and they're willing to take what it needs to be done to do that. You rarely see it anymore, but it can be done. But for the private schools, if it's allowed, you let them do it. I'm a firm believer in that. I don't make excuses. That's one thing I know. The rules are the rules, and you just got to go. I'm not a millennial. I don't question rules. If it's a rule, it's a rule.
It's a rule. It's a rule. All right. Well, let me ask you these 10 questions. You ready?
Yes, sir.
So tell me, it's the third period. You're down by 3. Do you go top, bottom, or neutral?
Depending on how the match goes, but I'm a firm believer in you got to take that. And I get parents look at me, take down. Got to take down.
Folk style or freestyle?
Freestyle. Too easy.
Headgear or no headgear?
I'm a no headgear guy, but I mean, if you're young, the young kids, probably should wear headgear, or you get, let's see, that little thing right there that don't bend anymore.
You got 1 day to train, and I think I know your answer because you just told me this. But you got 1 day to train. You take the kids to a rumble or a clinic.
Oh, I'm a live guy. If you ever, like I said, I mentioned Ron Jones earlier. His practice is wrestling. I don't know if he ever showed a move. Okay, boys, we're gonna live today. Yes, live. Rumble, rumble, rumble.
Who wins the rematch, train or shoot?
Ooh. Oh, you know what? I heard this question. I go, I'm gonna, and everyone's saying shoot. So I'll say shoot again. I mean, yeah.
So, what has more prestige for the kids, 32 or Fargo?
Fargo. Uh, I've never been to the 32, and it's prestigious. But I've been to Fargo several times. When my brother and them guys were going. It's unbelievable. Even to someone who don't know anything about wrestling, when you walk into that stadium, and I know the 32 is probably unbelievable too, but that Fargo, there's just a lot of testosterone in the air.
What's more dominant, pin or tech?
Whoa. I'm going to say, I'll say tech. I'll say
Steve
tech.
Hall, tech. Hey, tell me about the barn in Oneko.
Say what?
You have a story or something about a barn in Oneko?
Yeah, Oneko. Yeah, that's the barn. That's where Ron Jones wrestled. And those out there that do know Ron Jones, you had to get choked out before practice started. He'd put a front headlock on you. And then, you'd see 3 or 4 All-Americans all passed out on the floor, and you'd be waking them back up so he could choke them out again. And
when you were telling the story, someone said, "Tell him the barn in Oneko."
Yeah, yeah, that barn built a lot of champions, and it was literally, it would be 110 degrees in there, 120 degrees, because it was metal. It was a metal barn.
Wow. So tell me, you're at the bar drinking beers. You go wings or burger?
Oh gosh, wings.
Wings
all day.
Chick-fil-A or Popeyes?
You know what? That Popeyes chicken is awesome. I argue with people at school all the time. What about you on that one?
I love Popeyes too, but that's because I think I'm an older gentleman than the young men that like the Chick-fil-A. I do like Chick-fil-A, but I like that spicy chicken from Popeyes.
Well, when them guys eat that Chick-fil-A, they always have that pinky out. So,
and a waffle fry.
There you go. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, only men eat Popeyes chicken.
That's right. So how about, do you go chicken nuggets or chicken tenders?
Oh, really neither, but I'll go chicken nuggets.
I think I could ask you this question: Whopper or Big Mac?
Oh, Big Mac.
Oh, Big Mac. Yeah, that too. All beef patties.
Yeah. You know what? I haven't ate one in a long time, and when I've had a bad night, if you know what I mean, and I wake up in the morning, that's the one thing I'll be looking for is a Big Mac tends to make you feel much better.
I know. I used to, anytime when I was, I think I was in high school and I was living with my dad. He had an efficiency, and he and I were living there. He was a cop at the time, and if I seen him in the morning eating a Big Mac, I know he had a rough night.
Yeah. Love a good Big Mac.
Yeah. Hey, man, this is awesome. I love talking with you. And people are saying that I need to get you and Goog on together.
That would be interesting. It would be fun.
Hey,
like I said, I respect Goog. We have our little tiffs. Then we forget about it at the end of the night. I will tell you this: a couple of years ago, when we were wrestling, when we were very competitive, those were some. When your whole tournament stops to watch a duel meet, you got something going on. And if he's still there, he'll remember they were, and we would lose by a point, and a couple of times we'd win by a point. It was that tight for about 6 years. We had some fun. There was win or lose. You'd rather win, but I mean, they were fun matches to be a part of because it was a real like old school college type of atmosphere.
That's awesome. And one quick
Yeah.
question before we go to this year at States. One of the biggest matches that has happened in the state tournament in 20 years happened, and it happened as a semifinal with
Mm.
Rivera and here. How can that be fixed to where we get to see that under the lights in the finals, or
You
should it
know,
be?
um, I I was a victim of bad seating at the state tournament my senior year. Um, Wrestling the state champion in the quarterfinals, he had actually lost in the at regionals, and so I had to wrestle him in the quarterfinals. And back then, you had to follow the leader. Um, so, but it was I met the state champion in the quarterfinals. You know, you can seed, and if you seed, you could charge money to watch the seeding meeting because it would be interesting. The issue is, and just like a local seating meeting as in a district, you know, what's fair? The FHSAA knows what they have a system. They're not going to change, I don't think. But the seeding would help, at least the top four. And I'm sure I'm going to assume that probably 90% of the people agree with me. At least the top four. And if you don't want to go top four, for gosh sakes, top two.
But I mean, come on, tell me anybody out there that wouldn't pay right now $50 to go to a room right now and watch those two guys go at it 2 out of 3. I would
Oh,
pay $100 right now to go see Rivera and Frankie go 2 out of 3 by themselves in a room. People would pay to watch that. These guys, they would have paid to watch them right there on that mat. I mean, there was so many people around there. I wish it was at that final meeting, when the lights are dark and the mats
right.
are lit up and the announcements are going. It just would have been a pleasure, right?
Yeah. But on the other hand, if you want to go another look at that, the FHSA loves that because, that's one, people are going to go watch that match in the semis. So they're going to pay for that too. But you're
Yeah.
right. And you're right. But to those two guys, the state champion means a lot, but that match uh, meant more. I mean, the match
You
itself.
know what? And that's exactly what Coach Palazzo said. I asked him, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks before the match, and he said, these two guys they're not thinking state title. They
Yeah.
don't even care. They care about that match. That's what they're looking forward to. That's the big match. They don't care if they meet in the first round or the finals. They just want to wrestle each other. So you're right.
If you take anything away from, because I think at times I'm a little bit misunderstood, um, but the one thing I love wrestling. I love to wrestle. I love to roll around with the kids, but I do love to watch. I mean, I've been watching, now that we got this internet, we can watch so many cool matches. I know people on my Facebook page are getting tired of me, but hey, watch this. This is great. Watch this move, because it drives you more. And the one thing I will say about this COVID-19 thing is, like I said, I've been coaching since 1987. I've been in wrestling since 1975. I started getting tired. And it's funny when my mentor Bob Thomas, who was one of my wrestling coaches, and I coached with him 12, 13 years as an assistant coach, and we had a big runs then. Um, that we just like to watch the matches. I mean, and we just like to wrestle, watch wrestling. I mean, I enjoy it, and
Yeah.
so
And it was what an experience with both those schools sitting in the corner of that mat and all the guys around the mat. It was fun to watch, and it was a great experience. And um, you could watch them in a public park.
well,
They would.
when I talked about this when we was at the NCAA's a couple of years ago, me and Coach Thomas, uh, I went early to watch him drill. DeSanto, that dude, I mean, he worked hard for an hour and a half. I go, he's got to wrestle in like 20 minutes. And he was just, I mean, you got to admire a kid like that. Although he's crazy, you still got to admire him.
I can't believe some of the kids that I've met who over the last couple seasons that I've been involved in it that are just when they get on the mat, they're absolute assassins, and when they're off the mat, they're rolling around with their teddy bears and toys and their little sister and brother, and they're the nicest, sweetest things you've ever met in your life. And then all of a sudden, they get on the mat and they're just absolute assassins. And I'm like, wow! It was like talking to Spencer Lee the other day. He just seemed like the sweetest, nicest young man and relaxing, but he doesn't lose much.
Yeah. And I thought he was on Valium or something. I was watching him. I go, man, he's on. I mean, he's got to be like a Xanax or something. Because he was very relaxed.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing Nick Bousakis when he used to be down here, and I'd see him off the mat, and he'd be like the nicest young boy you've ever met, sweet, cool, and then all of a sudden, it don't work that way when he's on the mat. He just would go nuts in it. And I hear people ask him all the time, how do you switch that off?
Yeah, they do it. I mean, and then there's guys who are 110 miles an hour all the time.
Yep. It's crazy. Well, man, I got to tell you, obviously the sport has been blessed to have guys like yourself. It's an honor to absolutely meet you and talk with you. And it's an honor to be a part of your sport and have my son being a young wrestler in the sport. And, who knows what he does in the future, but he's gone from no wins to some wins. So he's going in the right direction. I tell him the process, and I try to put him in the right rooms, and I put him around the right people. That's all I can do, but I can't wrestle for him.
Right.
And I would be really bad at it. So.
Just remember, wrestling is by osmosis. You get from everyone around you.
Yeah, so I just try to put him in places I can put him in, and he'll take it.
Okay, well, hey,
thank you, and I really appreciate it. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you, sir. And anytime you and Goog want to come on and argue about who's the best manatee coach, I'm cool with that. Hit me up.
He's got more credentials than I do, but we do our best. So, and we have fun wrestling. So, hey, remember that bar thing when we're going?
Yeah, for sure. I'm calling you, Campbell. I'm calling Nordstrom. I'm calling Olson. I'm calling BB. I'm just hitting you all up. Whatever. I'm just going to shoot out a message. We're going to fill the whole bar.
Oh yeah, and we can talk. You know what's sad though? What happens is everybody starts moving they go, hey, let's just roll around or let's pummel a little bit. So make sure they have their insurance.
Yeah, I like it. I'm ready. I'm not wrestling. I'm announcing.
There you go.
I'll be the guy in the back when I was in college, I could have rolled around with those guys. Yeah, that'll be me in the corner.
Hey, you don't know how many state champions we meet at the bars. I was a wrestling state champion in Ohio.
Oh yeah, somebody put a story. I forget where it came. I think it was on the wrestling, or I saw someone post that they talked to. If you're gonna say you were a champ, know who you're talking to, because they ran into a guy at States or something. The guy was like, I was a state champion, blah, 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 in 19 whatever. And then the guy he was talking was like, no, you weren't, because that was my brother or something in 1983. Or like, oh, well, I should have been.
Well, we had a kid come to our school this year, and he's from Ohio. He goes, I was a state placer. I go, what's your name? I'm looking. I go, dude, they have this thing called the internet now. We can look up anything. And he wasn't, I wished he was a state placer or something. That would have been nice to have.
Yeah, I think the guy posted that I know who you're talking to because, Goog says he does well at bars too. All right, Goog, you're invited. Yeah. I'm going to sit you and Wilkes together.
Yeah, well, you know what? We have to sit together anyway. We got to get our Manatee County Championships this year we didn't have one, basically. There was a 2-team Manatee County Championship. I didn't participate in them for numerous reasons. But we got to get our. So we are gonna sit down and have beers together. He said he was buying too. So
Oh, good. You hear that, Goog? You're buying.
well, I got it in an email.
Dougmore. Looks like Dougmore wouldn't mind coming too.
Hell yeah, it'll be
All right,
fun.
man. I'm gonna jump off of here. I got another one at 2, so let me
Thank you,
prepare for
sir.
that. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anytime.
Okay. Have a good one.
You too.